Welcome to Diggin with Deej. See, there's my 8x8 garden down the hill behind me. And you see what I'm wearing, don't you? This is the hat Mike gave me on my trip to Connecticut last summer. So, this is the game plan. When the chips are down, you play what the hand you're dealt. Let me explain. You remember the infamous guardrail that they tore down and put new up and dug up my over 100-year-old peonies? Well, guess what I discovered? One survived! So, I put a tomato cage around it. I'm gonna have to move this. Put a tomato cage around it and some plastic down at the bottom so that the lawn service doesn't weed whack it down. So this is my game plan. See that? Remember, I planted all different kinds of squash. Well, they are struggling here. Look at them. Out of 12 squash that I planted, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then nothing for a long way, and then the last one, 6. This one's doing the best because it gets shade sooner than the others. So we are going to up the ante and go all in when it comes to spring through fall gardening. We are going to transplant these, but I'm going to have to make room for them before I transplant them. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So for those of you that want to know why I'm ripping this out, look at that fungus. That's caused by stink bugs. Okay. Pile of diseased corn on the burn pile. And everybody say hi to Dr. Dave. My doctor had to have surgery and is recovering for the next couple of months. So I have to be very, very careful with my back. I'm wearing my back brace, Doc, and I'm lifting with my legs. This is light stuff. Okay, we have to remove the two dead zucchinis and get them out of there. They did not die from disease. They died from a storm. This one has got a baby zucchini on it right there. So we're going to let this one go a little longer. Okay, remember, I had onions planted, all different kinds of onions planted over there. Planted onion sets. I will never, ever, ever plant the little onion bulb things ever again. They got knocked down by the first storm and never grew anymore. So I'm going to take the hoe and bust this up a little bit and get them onions out of there. Because they're so small, I don't even know if they're safe to eat or not. Holy smokes. Look at that. Those are those onion sets. They just grew a little bit bigger. I mean, some of them are twice the size, 3 times the size they were. Here's a good sized red one. Now, I don't know if this is what, if there's a name, if these are edible or not, but I'm going to research it. And if they are edible, I might cook them up and freeze them or can them, I don't know which. to make creamed onions for winter. But I'm just not sure if they're even edible. So as soon as I do some research and I find out, I will let you know, and I'll put it up here in the description somewhere. So the sun is almost directly overhead, so I'm going to take a break and come back once it's on the other side of the house. Then I'll have 3 or 4 hours in shade to finish working on this, because it's not good to transplant in the heat of the day. So I'm just preparing the bed, and in a minute I will show you the fertilizer that I'm going to mix into this soil. I'll show you a picture of it. Okay, this is the fertilizer I use. It's all natural, and I use this for starting my plants and transplanting my plants. But because I already had corn and onions in there trying to grow, and I had not fertilized this soil at all after it was brought in. I did some fertilizer, a little bit with each plant, but then eventually the fertilizer wore out, and you could actually see when it ran out, where the plant stopped its major burst of growth. And I'm wondering if that's what happened to those beans. There's only 5% nitrogen in this, so I'm not exactly sure what happened with the beans. I'm waiting for the leaves to die to see if there were actually any beans on it. And if not, those are going in the burn pile too. So this is what it looks like. And I've got about 3/4 of a cup to a cup in there, and I'm just going to sprinkle it over the surface, rake it in, and then water it. And then by later today, when the sun is in the west, it should be all dried out and ready to plant. So I'll see you when the sun is in the west. Well, I found 2 beans when I started looking. 2 whole beans on all that growth. So they got yanked out, and they are on the burn pile. So I started to reassemble, put the trellis back up. What I plan on planting in the place of the beans, and I amended the soil earlier. I put fertilizer over there too where the beans were, raked it all in, and then I soaked this down with a hose really good. And as you can see, 4 hours later, it's all dry. That's how warm it is. So I'm going to plant a crop that is a spring and a fall crop, and that's peas. Now, I can pick them when they're small and they'll be pea pods, or I can let them grow and plump up and they'll be peas. I haven't decided which I'm going to do, because we really do love pea pods. And then we're going to plant the squash in here. I'm going to wait for the sun to get down a little bit farther before I plant the squash. We're supposed to get rain tonight, so that will help in the transition to acclimate them to nutritious soil. So I'll get back to you when we bring the plants over one by one. When I dug the first plant out, I filled the hole with water, because these plants, I don't know how they survived out there. I really don't, because it was just gravel and clay out there. And the roots were not attached to anything. They were just had, gravel and clay on top of them. So when I went to dig them out, the gravel and clay fell away, and it was just bare root. So this is not recommended, especially in August. But I'm not going to get anything out of them where they're growing, because they're just literally living off the water alone. There's no nutrients in that soil. So I put them in here, carefully move the dirt. They're in the water. Carefully move the dirt in around the roots. Made the hole big enough so the roots can stay going the direction they were. And then we're going to water them. If Tanner doesn't bark her head off, playing with the hose. Stop. And we're going to water this really, really well. There we go. Play with the hose. And we'll cross our fingers. I'll get back to you when I get the rest of them planted. But I'm planting Tanner, you're spraying me with the hose. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes here. And I pulled 3 of the zucchinis out. And I'm putting 1 there. So, and then of course I'll plant the peas along the edge. Because they're going to grow up on the trellis. So I'll get back to you when I get all the plants in. Well, we got them all planted. They're a little wilty, but the first set of the storms came through and it perked some of them up a little bit. But I'm hoping that they're going to survive. And I got the other one over here. And then it had just started to rain. And Tanner Banana and I planted a double row of pea pods right along here underneath the trellis. So hopefully those will sprout soon. But we'll give this a shot. If they don't survive, I'll be planting different kinds of lettuce, spinach, stuff like that. So, and when the beans finally die out, I'll put lettuce or something in where the beans are at over there. And the zucchini once those are done. But I'll keep the flowers in here for the pollinators. Bringing pollinators to the garden. Because you can't get squash without pollinators. So, we'll see what happens. They look kind of rough. So, thank you for watching. I appreciate your comments. And give a fall garden a shot. You know, I'm going to be planting lettuces and things like that up in my pots up on the deck once those plants are spent. So we still have 40 days left till first frost, hopefully. So we'll see. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.